Let's learn about the cardiovascular and the respiratory system. These systems help our body to receive oxygen and nutrients, helping our body to do their jobs and to live. Let's start with the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system consists of the heart and vessels. There are three types of vessels known as vein, artery, and capillary. But we will dig deeper into that later in the video. There are two types of circulation, systematic circulation and pulmonary circulation. Systematic circulation moves blood between the heart and the rest of the body, while pulmonary circulation moves blood between the heart and the lungs. It transports deoxygenated blood to the lungs to absorb oxygen and release carbon dioxide. The oxygenated blood then flows back to the heart. This is the heart. There is a superior and the inferior vena cava, the right atrium, tricuspid valve, right ventricle, pulmonary valve, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, left atrium, mitral valve, left ventricle, aortic valve, the aorta, and the pericardium. So basically what happens in the heart is that the deoxygenated blood goes through the superior and the inferior vena cava and gets to the right atrium. Then it goes to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve and to the lungs by entering the pulmonary valve and out the pulmonary artery. In the lung, gas exchange happens. The oxygenated blood goes back to the heart through the pulmonary vein, to the left atrium, then to the left ventricle by the mitral valve and goes out of the body through the aortic valve and out the aorta. Like I mentioned before, there are three types of vessels in the body: vein, artery, and the capillary. The vein pulls the blood towards the heart. The walls of the vein are less muscular and are more thinner than the artery. The vein has valves and the pressure of the blood is very low. Moving on to the artery. The artery pulls blood away from the heart throughout the body. The walls of the artery are very thick and muscular, but has a small lumen. The lumen is a circular passageway of the vessels. The artery has no valves and the blood pressure is high, and it carries oxygenated blood. Finally, the capillary. Capillary is where the gas exchange happens. The wall of the capillary is 1 cell thick and it doesn't have any valves. In the capillary, the pulse disappears and it slowly loses oxygen. Now let's talk about the blood. The fluid that passes through all of these are blood. Blood is a type of tissue that carries oxygen, nutrients, and waste products throughout the body. There are red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. But first, let's take a look at the red blood cell. The shape of the red blood cell is called a biconcave. This shape helps the blood to move easily through the lumen of the vessels. It allows the red blood cell to bend through the lumen. It also provides a large surface area for oxygens to be stored by the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein that contains iron. It carries oxygen when exposed to it. Hemoglobin is also the reason why blood is red, because hemoglobin contains iron, so when it makes contact with oxygen, it turns red. Oxyhemoglobin is a form of hemoglobin that contains oxygen. Plasma is the part of your blood that carries platelets, red blood cells, and white blood cells around the body. Plasma makes up approximately 55% of your body. Now let's look at how the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood look like. So in this picture, the one on the right is the deoxygenated blood and the one on the left is the oxygenated blood. We can see that the oxygenated blood is bright red and the deoxygenated blood is dark red. Now let's take a look at the white blood cells. White blood cell is a blood cell that helps fight diseases and infections in our body. It flows with the red blood cell and it detects injuries and diseases. Finally, the platelets. The platelets help blood clot. It stops the bleeding in a site of injury. If you don't have enough platelets, we might bleed uncontrollably. There actually is a disease called hemophilia. Hemophilia is a genetic disease that happens when your blood doesn't clot. One fun fact is this disease is also known as the royal disease. Queen Victoria is a carrier of hemophilia, making the British royals have hemophilia. Moving on to the respiratory system. The respiratory system takes up oxygen from the air you breathe and expels the unwanted carbon dioxide. The main organ of the respiratory system is the lung. Now let's take a closer look at the lung. When we breathe in air, we breathe in the air through the oral and the nasal cavity. The air then goes to the pharynx, to the larynx, and to the trachea. When our diaphragm expands, it makes a low pressure area in the lungs, letting the air inside the lungs. The epiglottis is a flap that prevents food from entering the lungs. The air travels through the bronchus to the lung into a smaller airway called bronchiole. The oxygen then ends up in an air sac called the alveoli. Alveoli is where the gas exchange takes place. This is how the alveoli looks like, and I've made an interactive diagram of how gas exchange works. So basically on the right side it is the capillary, and on the left side it is one of the alveoli sacs. So right now the red blood cell is carrying carbon dioxide, which is a waste. And right now it is being exchanged with the oxygen. Once the carbon dioxide and the oxygen exchange, the red blood cell will carry the oxygen throughout the body and will slowly lose the oxygen and will turn to a deoxygenated blood again. Then it will come around the alveoli again. And the carbon dioxide in the alveoli sac will go out of the body through exhalation by the diaphragm contracting. So you might wonder how gas exchange can happen in the alveoli. Gas exchange can happen in the alveoli because of thin walls. The alveoli walls are 1 cell thick, providing gases with a short diffusion distance. Also, moist walls can help with the gas exchange. Gases dissolve in the moisture, helping them to pass across the surface. Also, the walls of the alveoli is permeable wall, so it allows the gases to pass through. Thanks for exploring the cardiovascular and the respiratory system with me. Science is all about curiosity and discovery, so if you have questions or ideas, share them in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting science content. Until next time, stay curious and keep discovering. Bye!